Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Cassie Milligan. I'm the Parent Instructional Coordinator here at Central Gwinnett High School. We welcome you for our January coffee chat. Hopefully you have your coffee with you. Woohoo! Okay, so we have to share. If you like, what kind of coffee do you have? So I'll start. I have Bustelo, Cafe Bustelo, which is a Cuban coffee, like an espresso coffee. Anyone else want to share?
I have a Brazilian roast from Perk Coffee. It's a Savannah company, but they just opened up in Atlanta, and I buy their bags. They're delicious.
Ah, very nice. So we're glad that you're able to join with us. As I said, my name's Cassie Milligan. I'm the Parent Instruction Coordinator here at Central Gwinnett High School. And this is our January coffee chat. I want to introduce some of our coffee friends that we have with us today. So we have Dea Kunovac, and she is our Central Gwinnett High School College and Career Specialist. And we also have with us today Jessica Pompolis, and she is a Central Gwinnett High School counseling intern. So she's visiting with us, doing her internship to become a school counselor. So we'd like to welcome them today with us as two of our coffee friends. So Dale will be presenting to us today, and then also Jessica will be helping out with the chat room and also with admitting people. Any questions so far? Okay. Well, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and turn it over to Dea so she can present some information about college admissions and the college edition. If you have questions, feel free to put it in the chat. We'll be monitoring the chat and breaking it with questions every so often.
Thank you very much, Miss Milligan. Can everybody see that okay? Hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so we received a couple of responses about the topics that you wanted to cover as parents, and one of them was college and financial aid scholarships specifically, and then the other was about apprenticeships. And because those are a little bit different, we had talked about doing at least a college edition for now, and then going into apprenticeships maybe in a later session. Maybe we start a series of some sort. Miss Milligan and I kind of threw out those ideas when we were planning this, and so we can circle back around to that at the end of the presentation and talk about future plans for this. But we'll go ahead and start with the college edition this time. As Miss Milligan said, I'm Dea Kunovac. I'm technically the Career Academy Specialist. That's my title, but it's a little misleading because although I do help students understand post-secondary plans through the Career Academy lens, it should really read something like College and Career Specialist or something like that. I think that'd be more straightforward, but that's just my opinion. So I do work with the counseling department. I'm not a counselor, so I'm not going to be your student's counselor, but I do work with the department in that I help them work with their juniors and seniors. And so usually I'll start working with juniors late into first semester, kind of start of second semester junior year, and then I'll continue working with them as seniors and kind of developing that post-secondary plan. So whatever it is that they want to do after high school. So here is my contact information. This is the best way to reach me if you are a parent. On my website too, this is like the virtual college and career center. It kind of looks like what my classroom would look like or what my office would look like if you walked into it. So that's the virtual center. And then we have an Instagram account too, right there. And I'll have these resources on the screen at a later time too, just for anyone who's coming in a little late. But if you want to, this is a great opportunity to screenshot, take a picture with your phone, whatever it is that you want to do to save those resources. A little bit of my college background: I went to Georgia State University for my bachelor's, and then I got my master's at UGA and my specialist at Piedmont College. So I just wanted to start really quickly with an overview of college applications, because it is kind of that season for college applications. A lot of deadlines are coming up. In fact, some have already passed. UGA and Georgia Tech just closed their application season 2 weeks ago. So there are a few that are still coming up. Most of them do happen around March, April, some in February, and then some, of course, in the summertime, depending on how local and small the school is. So your children have some options, of course, when it comes to college. 2-year schools and 4-year schools are all around the state of Georgia and the US. 2-year options include Gwinnett Tech just down the street, Georgia Perimeter. I'm sure you remember, if you've been in Lawrenceville for a while, Georgia Perimeter used to be right there where GDC is now, where Georgia Gwinnett College is now, right there at 316 and Collins Hill. But recently, Georgia State purchased Georgia Perimeter and is offering a 2-year track that can actually also transition you into Georgia State University automatically. So we can talk about that if that's one question that, or if that's something that somebody wants to go into further detail. But there are also other 4-year institutions that do offer associate's degrees, which are those 2-year degrees, like University of North Georgia and Clayton State. Of course, traditionally, there are your 4-year schools in Georgia. Georgia Gwinnett College is becoming very popular amongst students in Lawrenceville. That's the one that's just down the street. Georgia State University has become also very popular. It's really become a leading innovative university. And then we have tons of other schools, of course. Albany State is a great HBCU that is public, as well as Fort Valley State. There are some HBCUs, of course, that are private. They end up being a little bit more expensive, but Clark Atlanta is one. And then Morehouse and Spelman are a couple of others. And so there are other private schools in general too that we can talk about if you'd like to. I generally don't throw those out first thing because they tend to be much more expensive than public schools, but I'm always open to talk to students, especially when scholarships are involved, and we'll talk about those more later. So when your student is considering best fit, you kind of want to think about how likely is it that they will be accepted to the school. So we talk about reach, target, and safety schools. You don't want to be applying only to reach schools, those ones that are really difficult for one particular person to get into, but you also don't want to be applying just to safety schools. You want something that's going to be academically challenging, that is going to maybe challenge the student socially too, whatever it might be. So a wide range of schools is what we like to see. A couple of fallback schools, a couple of schools that are really tough to get into, maybe that 1 or 2 target schools. So just applying for a variety of schools is recommended. And then you will also want to look at what kind of school does the student want to go to, location-wise. How big is it? Is it in an urban setting or somewhere rural? What's the transition going to be like from Central Gwinnett High School to that university? And then, of course, you're probably considering cost too, especially as the parent. You're definitely considering cost, and there are ways to cut costs, of course, in college, scholarships being one, and then other financial aid like grants being another. And then, staying public instead of private, or staying in state instead of out of state. Those are also ways to cut costs. And then when choosing a college, you also want to look at their academic requirements like GPA, maybe test scores, although most schools, some people still don't know about this, but most schools this year, especially in the state of Georgia, all University System of Georgia schools, they're waiving SAT and ACT requirements. So students don't have to take those tests to be accepted into college this year, which is kind of awesome, I think. And we can talk more about that if that's a point of interest. There are a couple of ways to apply for school For universities, Common App is one of the most common, and Georgia Futures is another for Georgia institutions. And then, of course, you probably just want to check the school's website. That's a surefire way to understand how to apply for the school, but also to get valuable information. The deadlines are going to vary again. And then the college applications do tend to be expensive. So if a student is in the free and reduced lunch program, there are fee waivers available for that, just like there are fee waivers available for the SAT and ACT if your student is still interested in taking it. You can send transcripts through georgiafutures.org. That is an organization that we have all of our students signed up for. So chances are your student is already signed up for georgiafutures.org. So you can send your transcripts. There is something you have to do. If the student does not have the social security number on file at the school, then they have to do that before they can send their transcripts through Georgia Futures, because that's how they're linked. And then, of course, for out-of-state schools, there are other ways to send transcripts. We can do them by snail mail, but there are also websites that will do it depending on the institution. So just check those requirements on their websites. This is a big one. I get lots of questions about letters of recommendation. And of course, students tend to wait till the last minute to ask for letters of recommendation. And it's very important that they know that counselors and their teachers, they need a few days. In fact, counselors have requested a 10 business day turnaround time to write and submit those letters. This gives them time to collect information about the student so that they write the best letter. But also our days are filled with meetings such as this one, and individual meetings with students and group meetings. And so if we get a request for a letter same day as the deadline, it's sometimes very difficult to complete that request. So they ask for a 10 business day turnaround time. They do want a brag sheet also at that same time that the request is made. This is called the student profile here. But basically it's like a form that brags on the student's accomplishments, and that way we can write the best letters for them. Usually it's the counselor that writes the letter. I will sometimes support if I know the student very well, or for some other reason. And teachers too can write letters of recommendation. It just depends on what the university is requesting. So this is the counseling e-class page down at the bottom that students can access this. I don't believe parents have access to the e-class pages, but at least students can access the counseling e-class page, and that's where they can find the brag sheet. And also, if they don't know who their counselor is, that is also the place to find that. So let's go over that financial aid that we were talking about earlier. There are a few things to do to get ready for college in terms of paying for college. The first is, well, before we start that, I do want to go over the types of financial aid, because I think there's this fear about college sometimes that you're going to end up being so in debt because you've paid for 4 years of school. And especially if you're looking at out-of-state schools or private schools, that can really add up. But loans are not the only option. We kind of talk about loans as a last resort option here, because there's so much else the student can do to earn their way through college. One thing is, of course, scholarships. Scholarships are usually based on achievement. Sometimes scholarships can be awarded for essays and other different things. Like there's one scholarship out there for making a duct tape prom dress. So, that's like a crazy example, but there are scholarships out there for the wildest things. They just have to find them and apply for them. I always suggest that students apply for local scholarships first. There are so many scholarships given to Gwinnett students and to Georgia students, based on achievement, based on essays, based on whatever it might be. So one very common example is the Hope Scholarship. That's a Georgia scholarship for students with a 3.0 plus core GPA. And I say core GPA because it has to be their academic classes. There's another one that well, there are tons of local sorority and fraternity chapters that give awards, scholarship awards for certain things like achievement, like GPA or essays or something like that. Um, Grants are another option. Great grants are based on financial need. So, like the Pell Grant is a grant for families that otherwise might not be able to afford college. Grants can also be awarded for other things like going into a specific field, like a really high demand field, like for instance, the Hope Grant. Give students a certain amount if they go to a technical school and go into a field that's really high demand. So there are definitely lots of ways besides loans to pay for college is the big picture, what I really want to get across. Work study, of course, is another option, working at the college and earning money that goes towards tuition and fees. So to apply for things like the Hope Scholarship and Pell Grant or Hope Grant, the student and parent or guardian will need to complete the FAFSA. So a couple of things there listed there that you would need. I would take a screenshot or a picture or whatever of this screen if you zoned out for the rest of this chat and you're just focusing on this is probably the most important part as far as financial aid is concerned. So I would definitely save this information somehow. Students can access a slideshow that I've created that goes step by step through the student part of the FAFSA. And that's down at the bottom, the bit.ly. It's a slideshow that's only accessible with Gwinnett County emails. So if you try to go to that link, it'll ask you to sign in. If you want to, you can ask your student to sign in just so you can see the steps, but those steps are for the student. There's another parent portion too that the parent or guardian has to complete. So that's, and this is case sensitive. FAFSA has to be capitalized if you're going to that link, FAFSA Steps 2021. All right. So besides FAFSA, of course, we talked about those scholarships. This is also another website that students can access. It is scholarships that I have created this list along with the Student Support Center and counselors. So people here at Central Gwinnett have created this list, which means that some of these are just for Central students or just for Gwinnett County Public School students. This is one of the best documents that the student can have in their tool belt as far as paying for college is concerned. So definitely bookmark that. They should definitely be bookmarking that site. There are other sites that are just, available to anyone, FastWeb and CAPEX and many more that offer scholarships. I just ask that you be on the lookout for weird things like asking for personal information, asking for account information or anything like that. There are, of course, sites out there that are not safe, and I would just be very careful about those when you're looking for scholarships.
Ms. Kunovac?
Yes.
We have a question from Ms. Walker, and it relates to what you're speaking about as far as applying for scholarships. And you had mentioned earlier about documenting student activities and volunteer efforts as part of their application. The question is, how far back should we document student activities and volunteer efforts?
I guess I would go so far back as, middle school, if they've done some, especially in this day and age where we're less talking about numbers and more so talking about the student as a whole, especially because SAT and ACT are optional this year. I would, as much as you can, give as much information as you can, because the college is looking for a student who is going to participate in their extracurricular activities, a student who is going to be very present in the student body. And so if you do have volunteer experience, even if it is a little bit older, I would definitely share it.
Thank you.
Sure. Any others before I wrap up at least this portion of?
there aren't any other questions in the chat box at this
Thank
time.
you. I'm actually just finishing up. So this is the resources. These are the resources I shared at the beginning. So for anyone who is a little bit late to the meeting, this is my email address, the easiest way to reach me. If you're a parent, this is the website. That's the College and Career Center. That's the virtual College and Career Center. And of course, the Instagram account, which I took a quick picture of. The Instagram account too. We celebrate students here. We post important information here that the students need, like deadlines and any kind of scholarships that come up. So definitely a good one to follow. And then the site has links. And in fact, I kind of wanted to walk through the site real quick. Do we have time for that? Sure. Okay.
Yes, definitely.
All right.
Yes.
I'm going to do a new share. And go through here. Okay, can everybody see the center now? Perfect. Okay, so this is what the center looks like. I've tried to model it as much as I could to what my office might look like if you were to walk in. So all of the things that you see here are links. So for instance, if a student wants to take the SAT and ACT and they're in the free and reduced lunch program and they qualify for a fee waiver, they can click here and it takes them right to a form to request the fee waiver. If they are interested in going to a virtual college fair, they can click on this little sticky note that says that. They can click on the Instagram logo to go to the College and Career Center Instagram account. This is all military information. So every little thing here is a link. This is just for the counseling e-class page. This is for an appointment with me. So you click on me to request an appointment and so on and so forth. So all of these things are links to parts of the process for post-secondary planning, including this financial aid room where I list scholarships that are due soon. I have a link to FAFSA. So definitely some important things to look at. In fact, there is a scholarship deadline coming up this week. The Jackson EMC, if you're a Jackson EMC member, you can apply for this one. There's one for LGBTQ students. There's tons of scholarships for the month of January that students should be applying for sure. So that's the College and Career Center, and of course the Instagram account too is, I can share that very quickly. There's a lot of celebrations for students, reminders about meetings, reminders about scholarships and fairs. The HBCU fair is coming up soon. The deadline to register for that is soon. So I'm always posting here whenever there's something that students really need to know. So I will open it up if we're good for questions or.
Yeah, and I do have a few that have already been posted in the chat box.
Yeah,
if you're ready for that.
absolutely.
So I have one that says, why is more awareness not created for students in regards to scholarships?
Ooh, I don't know about awareness efforts anywhere else. I feel like at Central, the counselors and I try as much as we can. I email students daily. In fact, they're tired of me emailing them. I email them daily about scholarship opportunities. They're also on the website. They're on their e-class page, the Central website, senior e-class, counseling e-class. Scholarships are, honestly, I shove them at them as much as I can.
And students are still able to sign up for Remind from the counseling department as well for scholarships. Is that correct?
We don't use Remind anymore. We use
Okay.
Score, but either
Score,
way,
okay.
yeah, either they should have downloaded Score last year during
Okay.
their junior year. Hopefully they haven't deleted them from their phones, but we use Score and not Remind.
All right.
I'm sorry. No, I was just going to say, if they're checking their email daily, they are getting all kinds of information about scholarships, and just bookmarking that one website will give them everything they need to know for the remainder of the year.
Mhm. Next question says, why, I'm sorry, how do I get the application voucher?
The college, okay, yeah, the college application voucher. So it depends. There are a couple of different ways depending on the institution. If it's a school that you're applying to via Georgia Futures, there's a place on Georgia Futures to say that you qualify for a fee waiver, and then your counselor automatically gets that, and or not Georgia Future, sorry, Common App, and your counselor gets that automatically, and they will verify that you are a free or reduced lunch. If it's not a school that's on Common App, email me and I'll get it. I email PDF versions with the student's name on it and a signature. We can also send it through SCORE. There's a couple of different ways.
Mhm. Okay. Are there any other questions for that? Ms. Kennedy, did that answer that for you?
It did. I think my
Okay.
daughter's in the process of applying at Georgia State, and she was looking for that application voucher, and I'm not sure. I'll have to double check to see if it was on Georgia Futures or if she needed to do it separately.
Georgia State University has their application on Common App. So she
Okay.
should be able, her counselor, she can check with her counselor. They've probably already done it, but she should be able to check on the Common App that she is eligible for free and reduced lunch. And then her counselor will go into Common App and verify.
Okay. I'll tell her to email her counselor. I think that one is time sensitive too. I think that one is closing soon, so I'll have her double check.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Next question, which we'll have to see if I don't think, well, we have an official answer for this. It says, will the gateway test still be a requirement for graduation? As of now, the official word is yes. That's about all we can say. But how things are going, there obviously may be changes based on the situation, but as of now, the answer is yes. Students are taking Gateway. Those who have taken it in the past and are needing it for graduation have been taking it already this year. But then they're supposed to take one tomorrow, and obviously won't be able to do that because this was a retest, because of everyone being virtual. So there is flexibility in the situation because of COVID, but at the same time, officially, the word is yes as of now.
I'm sorry, Ms. Milligan, I have one
Mhm.
quick question on that. Okay, so they were supposed to have a retake or retest tomorrow. My son, he didn't pass. I think he said one part of it.
Mhm.
So he
So,
would just be taking that section
right,
or
and
the
so there was
whole
only
thing?
one section that was being done tomorrow, that was originally being done tomorrow for social studies. So
Okay.
it depended if the student needed science, that was a different time, and then social studies for this one. So
He
if you
said
didn't,
chemistry was what he
okay,
didn't.
so that would have been science for Gateway. Yes.
Mhm.
So that will be given at another time.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Is the application voucher available for Georgia State? I think we answered that. Let's see. Okay. And forgive me if I'm sorry, I was reading through that this statement question. And Miss O, it's from Miss Owa. She is stating that students need to be guided in regards to choosing a good career and a profession. That most students still in 12th grade don't know what profession or career they want to go into. Is that right? If you want to answer it from your side, Ms. Kunovac, and then I'll answer it from the parent side as well.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. I think a lot more can be done for career readiness, for college readiness, for scholarships, all of it. That's part of the reason that my position was created. I just started here last year, and we saw that students really needed, because counselors, school counselors, have a million jobs, and you know, college and career guidance is just one of those. That's one of the reasons that the district created this position. And so I have worked with juniors and seniors to try to help them with that. Of course, I'm also only one person, so it's a whole school effort. And we try to embed college and career readiness programs within advisement, within their meetings with counselors, and then also through different programs throughout the year that are mandated by law, like the Bridge Law, for instance. Ninth graders choose careers, 10th graders, I think ninth graders, maybe 10th graders is choose career. I'm not quite sure that the counseling department does that. The 11th graders go through college choices, and then 12th graders do exit surveys. So we try to embed it throughout the year, of course, in different ways. But I agree. I think that this is one of the most important things that students should be talking about with their teachers, with their counselors, with all of the stakeholders, of course, to decide on what career to go into. We in fact have an event coming up just in a couple of weeks called Career Connections for ninth graders, where ninth graders go through a simulation and talk with industry panelists, and they discuss career options. They discuss with the panelists, like, what is your job like? How might I go into that career based on my interests? And we try to do these surveys too that gauge student interest and aptitude. So really, you know, it's a whole school effort with the student too. And that's you know, that's something that we're always striving to do. Ms. Milligan, I know you probably have more to add to that.
Yes. And what we try to do in our workshops that we have with parents, we always mention to them the importance of speaking with their students about their goals after high school. Even when we have the meetings with the 8th graders coming in, the rising 9th graders, we talk about that, because for a student, 4 years seems like a long time, but we know it's really not. And so it's so important that while Ms. Kunovac and the counselors and the teachers are talking to the students about their post-secondary plans, it's of even greater importance that those at home are speaking with their children about it. The families, grandmothers, grandfathers, mothers, fathers, cousins are encouraging the students to make goals, because they're the ones that are going to support them outside of school. So do you know what goals your child has at this point in time? If they're in high school, it's not too late for them to, or too early for them to have goals. The state actually starts in 8th grade with talking to students about careers and goals. So those are things to think about as a family. What path is your child taking? Have you talked to your child about what interests they may have? That could go into what academies that they choose here at Central Gwinnett High School. That was one of the main reasons that we went to being an academy school, was to give students an opportunity to learn about what they might be interested in. And it could be that what they choose here as an academy is what they choose to pursue post-secondary, or it could be that they choose to do something else, but those skills will still transfer with them to whatever their choice may be. If you talk to your student and they're interested in a certain area, certain career, then you can always take them to the college that might have that that degree. Ms. Kunovac mentioned about different colleges. As a family, you can go, well, not now because of COVID, but normally, yes, you have to do virtual tours here, but normally you could take days, and those days are excused to take your child to go visit the college that they might be interested in. So these are things that you can do as families, looking into those websites that Ms. Kunovac gave as far as careers, and speaking with your child as far as their goals. You have a great impact, and actually that's one of the greatest impacts that a family can have for a student in high school, is to talk about future goals, because that also helps them to have the goal of graduating. Because to get to post-secondary, you have to graduate. So keeping their options, keeping them interested in options after high school and having a path helps them to keep focused. Ms. Owa, did you have any other questions or comments that you'd like to give?
No, please. I'm fine.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. Those are really good questions and observations.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I think it relates to the question that we got on the survey. How are the classes and/or curriculum that my child is taking preparing them for the real world? And I think you touched on that, Ms. Milligan. As a career academy school, as a freshman, once they choose their academy, then all of the classes they take from 10th to 12th grade should be the classes are taught through the lens of that academy. And so we are attempting to educate children in the industry that they are interested in. So, you know, it's kind of a whole school effort.
Any other questions about Ms. Kunovac's presentation? Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Let's thank Ms. Kunovac for her presentation, her information. Yay.
Thank you. Happy
And then as we have done with coffee chat before, we're opening it up just to open discussion. We found that that was really nice last time. The parents are able to ask questions or give observations and get responses back from other parents. Is there anyone how are things going? I guess I could start it off. I know it's a little bit different this week, everyone at home with virtual learning. Are there any questions regarding that or any comments or just in general? Nope, everyone's good for today. And that's perfectly fine. So that's what we decided. I got some comments after the last one. Got to actually request for college information, scholarships, and so forth. So if you ever have a suggestion for the next or upcoming coffee chats, because we'll be doing it every month. It looks like right now what I'm going to try to do is the third Tuesday of every month. So third Tuesday. That way you can kind of have in mind third Tuesdays and at 9:30. And having different coffee friends come on and hang out with us for a bit and just in conversation, but also doing a little like coffee and learn kind of opportunity for those who are able to join us. Well, if there aren't any other questions, there is one thing I would like ask that you do. I do have a poll, and I am going to launch the poll. And if you can just answer those, that would be great. That will help us to know how our meeting did as far as meeting our goals, to get you information for general information regarding college and college admissions, and also just to help us plan for next time. So I'll give you an opportunity to do that. And then you can hang out for a minute or for a bit. We'll be here if you think of anything else as far as questions, and go from there. Did that work? The polling work? Okay, that's my first time doing it. I was a little bit nervous.
It's a learning curve, all of it.
It is. It is. So I see I got one response, one person going through. So it looks like some people are still going through. And then what I'm going to do is since we're ending this, I am going to stop recording.